Hey guys, how's it going? So for the Danganronpa 10-year anniversary, um, I wanted to kind of make a video talking about the characters that I like or dislike, just as kind of a tribute to it, I guess, because I really like the series. It's impacted me in a lot of different ways. So I'm making a tier list for all the characters, and I know tier list videos are kind of outdated, but I also don't care. So I'm gonna be making one of them. I added a tier to the top for double S for characters that I just love to bits, and one at the bottom for characters that I cannot stand the sight of. Um, but if need be, I can get rid of a tier. So I'm just gonna kind of pull out characters. Let's start with I'll do a pattern of one character from one, character from two, character from three, the anime, and character from V3. Oh, and also I haven't read like all the light novels and stuff, so characters like this, like I don't know who the fuck this is. I won't be ranking everyone, but I think most characters will end up going on here. So, taking a character from one, we have Aoi Asahina. Um, I liked Aoi. She's very how do I explain her? So, she's not like the brightest of the group, but she still kind of contributes to class trials and stuff. I feel like her presence is always there. She's definitely not one of the characters that kind of fade into the background. Um, I wouldn't say I like her a lot, but I definitely don't hate her. I think she would be perfect in B tier. So, character from the second game. Speaking of Aoi, it's Akane Owari, who I think, like most other people, when I first started playing V2, I kind of just got the impression that she was very similar to Aoi. But as time went on, I realized that, they do have some differences. They are similar, um, but I mainly just felt like Akane was, like, just dumber Aoi. She didn't really contribute to anything. She had that funny bit with the mantail. That was about the most memorable thing I remember. But I definitely can't say I like her as much as Aoi. So I'm gonna put her in D tier because I don't like her very much. Don't hate her, but you know. Alright, character from the anime. Uh, this guy, I think his name was Bandai. He was there. I don't like or dislike him. That bit he had with the high voice is like kind of funny. So I'll put him in C because I definitely don't like him as much as like Aoi, but I don't hate him. I'm very neutral towards him. Alright, V3. Ganta. Who doesn't love Ganta? Ganta's such a sweetheart. I really loved, you know, the trial where it turned out he was the killer because like at first it really seemed like he was being manipulated, and to an extent he was, but even though he was being manipulated, you could tell he was doing it, out of what he thought was best for everyone. So I definitely think that warrants him at least an A. I don't share your love of bugs, but you're super cool. All right, wrapping back around to the first game. Let's pull Chihiro out of here. Chihiro Fujisaki, you have made an impression on so many people. I wouldn't really say I'm one of them, but I do like him a lot. I think that his reach and his impression on people lasts for a lot longer than just his initial death in chapter 2 of the first game. He appeared as alter ego after that. And in the second game, he was running the whole like I believe it was called the Neo World program. Um, I don't like love him to bits, but I do like him a lot. So I'll put him right here next to Ganta. They're both just sweethearts. Okay, a character from two, Kazuichi Soda. He's definitely a very interesting one. Um, Danganronpa has this kind of consistency where while the game does have a very serious tone, and, sometimes it's gory, there's a lot of death, obviously. Some things that happen in Danganronpa are just seriously fucked up. But there is a lot of room for lightheartedness as well in joke characters, and Kazuichi Soda is definitely one of those characters that just, he comes on screen and he just kind of brightens the mood. That thing he had going with Sonya, like the kind of love triangle between him, Sonya, and Gundam, was really funny. I did feel a little bit bad for him, but I also really liked the interactions between Sonya and Gundam in that regard, so I can't feel too bad for him. But, he was a bro. He's Kazuichi. I like him. He's got a very, very cool design. So I'll put him up in A with Chihiro and Gonta. Maybe I'll move it around a little bit eventually. Like if I feel I've put somewhere something wrong. But maybe I'll move it around eventually if I feel like I've put somebody in the wrong tier. But I'll get to that when I get to that. So, we need another anime character. The teacher. I honestly cannot remember her name. But her character was so frustrating for me because I liked her a lot at first, and even though I realized it like wasn't her fault, I still couldn't help but feel a certain amount of resentment towards her for like what happened to the people, the V2 cast, who was her students. But I also know that it obviously wasn't really her fault. I'll put her in B tier next to Aoi for now. She might end up going down, or Aoi might end up going up. I'm not really sure yet. Character from V3, Himiko. I really like Himiko. Her whole thing, she was just super cute. I have a bunch of little sisters in real life, and that's kind of what she felt like to me. It was just this small little companion that was there. You know, she had her whole thing with being a mage, and she was just always very entertaining to see on screen. Um, so I guess I'll put her in S. I feel like I might need to do a bit of work with the tiers, or else S might get a bit congested. But we'll see how it goes when we get there. Byakuya Tagami, you rich prick. I like Tagami, to be quite honest. He definitely was an asshole, but you know, he had his whole thing with, he claims at least that he had to actually work to get his status because like his family was so big and he needed to compete against his siblings and rise to the top. And I really, I don't know if admired is the right word, but I liked that aspect of him. So I think he deserves at least an A. All right, let's see. V2. Let's go with Fuyuhiko. I loved Fuyuhiko. Even before he had his whole character development arc after Peko died in the second chapter, I liked him then. I don't know why. I'm just kind of like, I like the asshole characters, honestly. I'm gonna put him in S because I liked him before, and then he had just this really, really well written character arc. And what happened with him and Peko was just very sad to me. And it definitely was an emotional point in the game for me. Alright, let's take from the anime again. Let's see. I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of characters from the anime that I just kind of don't really care about. Since this guy organized the whole killing game, I guess I'll put him down here. I don't really dislike him, but like also, fuck you for doing that. So, that's where you belong. V3. V3. Let's pull out Kaede. I love Kaede Akamatsu. I feel like how she was in V3, like her introducing chapter was so amazing in terms of subverting the player's expectations. And that whole thing, like, I distinctly remember being in the first trial, and when the perspective like switched over to Shuichi, I was like, oh my god, what's going on? But realizing that realization that I was going to have to pick Kaede to be the killer was just awful. It was an awful feeling, but it was so well written that I can't help but put her in at least S. And I think that first trial wouldn't have been complete without a certain other character who I'm going to put right next to her when we get to that. But first, let's go back to the first game and pull a character from that. Celestia Ludenberg. I think her real name was like Taeko Yasuhiro. I think it was Taeko. I'm probably wrong. Nobody ever calls her that anyway. But I liked Celeste for what she was. I think she has a very cool design. A lot of the characters do, but hers really stands out to me. She's kind of this like gothic look. She's French, or at least I assume. Um, in terms of her character, she wasn't like super special. You know, she was one of those characters that you kind of just had a feeling about from the beginning. You realize, okay, this is a game about killing people. She's probably not going to make it to the end. And she did end up becoming a killer, which chapter 3 especially, I feel like it was really obvious that she was the one who did it because she was acting really weird and it just felt like the game was trying to point you in her direction. But I do like her. I'll put her up here with Aoi and the teacher whose name I can't fucking remember. Second game, Hiyoko Sayonji. I think a lot of people don't like her. Um, for reasons I don't think I have to explain upon. She's very mean and kind of vulgar, I guess. But there was a part of me that just could never take her seriously, and I just didn't really care that she was mean because it never felt that serious to me, like some other characters. And the relationship she had with Mahiru, like Mahiru served as a kind of big sister role for her, and it was just really like well done. I I loved seeing how those two characters interacted, and seeing them together was always like really cool for me. It just made me feel good, and I also just think she has a good design. So I'm gonna put her up in A, which I think a lot of people probably aren't gonna agree with, and I think a lot of people also are gonna question why I put her in A when they see somebody else who I put in the SS tier, who I already know I'm gonna put there. So can't wait for that. Anyway, anime character, the Great Gozu. Um, him and the exception of one other character from the anime are probably going to be the only ones that I put up here in B. Also the teacher, I guess. The Great Gozu, I think he died too early. He was just kind of funny, you know? He had this ox mask on. I think that's an ox. Ox, bull, cow, something of the mix. As we know from V2, chickens be turning into cows, so who knows what it is. But yeah, he was just kind of nice to have on screen for the short time that he was, because I wasn't really like sucked into the anime like I was the other games, which I think is probably not a hot take. I think a lot of people aren't a big fan of the anime, but I do think that the anime has like a very special aspect to it where I think it's kind of necessary for Danganronpa. Fill up some of the holes that may have been in the story. Not that there really was many, I don't think. But for what it was, I liked it. Alright, V3. Let's grab a character from V3. Kaito. I love Kaito to bits. He's so incredibly cool. I remember first seeing him and immediately recognizing that he had the same voice actor as Gohan from Dragon Ball, or adult Gohan. Um, which, I mean, that doesn't really matter much, but the way that he established a relationship with Shuichi and Maki in V3 was like probably just one of the greatest highlights from that game. Their character development, as a team, was really great, and the way he lives is just really admirable. In I think chapter 5 is when he and Kokichi both got killed. Him working together in tandem with Kokichi, who they were both characters, they hated each other, but they still worked together to try and trick the mastermind. And I just thought it was really, really good. So, because I love him so much, I'm just gonna put him in double S. You're awesome, Kaito. Luminary of the Stars. First game, Hifumi Yamada. I don't think a lot of people like this guy, and I can't really blame them. I'm not a big fan of him either. He was just kind of there. I feel like he takes a lot of stereotypes and pushes them to the extreme, and because it was so extreme, it was very hard for me to find any sort of relatability or common ground in him. And then he died, so he didn't really have a chance to, have any sort of tragic backstory or anything like that that you might find in a character. He was just kind of Hifumi, and he liked 2D. But his, obsession with alter ego was, kind of weird. For Kiyotaka Ishimaru, it made a little bit of sense, because since Mondo died, Ishimaru was, really fucked up. So his came from, a psychological thing. But I think Hifumi was just kind of horny. So I don't really like him that much. I'm going to put him down here in D, but, I obviously don't hate him. He's just kind of there. B2, Hajime Hinata. It's kind of a toss-up for me whether I like Hajime or Shuichi more as the protagonist. I think in the end I would have to go with Hajime, just because I really related to him a lot. He just so desperately wanted to stand out and have a talent, and it just really hit home with me. And the way he has different relationships with the characters like Chiaki and Nagito Komayata, who is a very special case that I will talk about later, which is really nice to me. I think well, I guess with Komayata it wasn't that nice, but it was definitely very well written and interesting. For a lot of other characters I can say, oh, this character has a really good design, but Hajime, he's just average. That's about it. And I think that's what kind of makes him special. Out of all these ultimates, he's just Hajime Hinata. So I'll put him in S. And because Izuru is, technically the same person, I'll put him up there with him as well. Because I think Izuru played a really big part in writing his character as well. Alright, that was 2, so let's grab somebody from the anime. Let's add somebody to E tier. This guy. That's right, you're gonna notice I don't remember the names of a lot of the anime characters. Haha. So, I actually liked this guy at first. He was cool, really. He's one of those characters where all you can really say about him is they're cool. He had a cool design. He was strong. And finding out that he was gay for Munakata, I believe his name was also cool. I was like, oh, well, there's another aspect of your character. But it was that ultimately brought his downfall, because in the part of the anime, Junko's like, hey, don't tell Munakata about me or I'll tell him that you're gay for him. And we all saw what happened there. course, I can't give him too much shit. Even if he did tell Munakata about Junko, I think in the end, the world still would have went to shit. But he could have done something, and he just didn't. Alright, now that that's out of the way. Moving on to V3 again. Kibo. I think Kibo is somebody that a lot of people like. And it's kind of hard for me to criticize Kibo because I do think he is a well-written character. You know, the whole thing with him and Miyu was kind of funny, but he never really stood out to me. I could never really resonate with him, and at the end, when he like it was cool when he was fighting the Monocubs, or was it like, no, the Monocubs are dead. It was just like the mechs that the Monocubs controlled. Like, that was cool, but when he was like, oh, I have to blow up the academy, like, it just never really made sense to me why he had to do that. And as such, I don't really particularly like him all that much, so I'm going to put him in C. And I'm also going to move the teacher down into C, because I could not for the life of me say I liked the teacher more than Kibo, even though I don't really like either of them. Alright, first game again. Junko. Everybody knows her at this point, right? Junko Enoshima. I'm also putting her in E. I hate Junko with a passion. I hated her before. In Trigger Happy Havoc, it was, oh, she's the mastermind, that's cool. I didn't hate her then. In 2, she came back, and I was kind of like, well, that's a little weird, but I guess they did it in a way that at least makes sense. But after watching the anime, and seeing how she just fucked up the cast of V2, and Chiaki especially, I couldn't stand her. Couldn't stand her, could not stand the sight of her. However, I live by the philosophy of, if you can make me genuinely hate a character this much, then you're doing your job right. You will never catch me saying that Junko Enoshima is a badly written character, just because I hate her that much. I think she's a fine written character. Her design is very unique. She's very easy to see. Well, I mean, I guess that's a stupid way of looking at it. Okay, I took a small break, but I'm back. I think the last character I did was Hajime. So, let's go to an anime character. I guess we can call Kyoko's dad an anime character. He's one of those characters that were kind of just there. I'm kind of treating the C tier as, like, neutral, but also, like, in terms of teacher, have a just a tad bit of dislike for, but C is, like, mostly neutral, and I mean, I didn't really care about Kyoko's dad that much. Alright, V3, Kurumi. Haha, 2B, right? Kurumi was alright. I wasn't super, like, fascinated with her, but I liked her for what she was. It certainly helped that her voice actress was who she was. And she has a very, I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but that woman has got some range. But Kurumi as a character, I'll put her in B for Prime Minister of Japan. Alright, going back around to 1, Kiyotaka Ishimaru. I like Kiyotaka a lot, but not quite S tier. I'm going to put him in A right now. Do they have a sprite for, like, Ascended Ishimaru? They do, it's right here. I'll put him right up next to him. I personally, the appearance look was kind of weird, but I think the personality change that he had was really significant for his character. He felt very fleshed out, and the way he reacted to Mondo and Chihiro's deaths before and after finding out about Alter Ego was very, very interesting to me. And I just like him overall. He's a bit of a stickler, but he's a cool guy. So, that gives him a good A tier. 2, let's go with Ibuki. I know there are a lot of people that are really big fans of Ibuki, and I can't say I blame them. Ibuki has a great design. Probably one of the best in the series, if you ask me. Um, I like her personality, but every once in a while there's just a twinge of I am very random that just I don't like. But I mean, she's nice. Her death was really sad. Same with she was like joint killed um with Hyoko, and they didn't really have a lot to do with each other. Like Ishimaru and Hifumi in the first game, they kind of made sense to be killed right next to one another because they both started to get into that dispute over alter ego. Hyoko and Ibuki didn't really have anything to do with each other, but I like them both. They can both go in A tier. Anime, who else is from the anime? Oh, I've just realized I've been neglecting the Ultra Despair characters. I'll put them in at some point. This guy whose name I can't remember. I told you it would be a pretty common theme with the anime characters. um, I would put him in C, but he did save Kyoko Kirigiri's life, and just for that, he goes in B. He's a cool dude. V3, Angie. Ooh, my thoughts on Angie went around a lot when I was playing V3. When I was initially showed her character, I was kind of interested because she has a very cool design. Um, but the whole thing with Atua was like, it was kind of tame at first, so I didn't really mind it. But once it started getting out of control, it got really annoying, and I just didn't really care that much when she died. So I'm gonna put her in C because she is tolerable. Alright, wrapping back around to 1. Kyoko Kirigiri. I'm trying to decide if I'm gonna be a little stupid fanboy and put her in double S. Hmm. I'll put her at the front of S for now. I mean, it's not ordered, but I'll keep her in S for now, and depending on who else I put in double S, we'll decide if I move Kyoko up. So, the reason I haven't really put Kyoko in double S, I really love her. Don't get me wrong. She's like probably my favorite character from Trigger Happy Havoc. Other than maybe like, well, no, I don't want to say that. She probably just is my favorite character from Trigger Happy Havoc. But I'm gonna compare her to Maki later on if I remember. Which I know probably a very weird comparison when you think about it at first, but in I am comparing them in terms of their personalities and how they are basically both just like a brick wall that you're trying to break down and you just cannot. No sledgehammer in the world is strong enough to break this brick wall. That is the difference between Maki and Kyoko, despite the fact that they are very different characters. Maki's brick wall gets broken down, Kyoko's never does, ever. And I would have liked to see that happen. But, I mean, it is what it is. She's not the kind of character that would really allow that wall to be broken anyway. But yeah, I love her to bits. Very cool design. Very entertaining. She's very smart. She's not entertaining like a lot of other characters on this list I would call entertaining. She's just cool. She's cool to watch. She's cool to, like, knowing that she kind of knows what's going on 90% of the time is just really cool. So, moving on to V2 again. Gundam Tanaka. It certainly would not be a hot take to say that I love Gundam Tanaka. He is awesome. Personally, I think he has probably the best execution in 2, and a competitor for the best execution in the series, along with Chiaki's execution. His whole thing, like, how do I describe him? There's not really a right word, I don't think. He's just weird. He's Gundam Tanaka. You know, he really cares for animals and stuff, as shown by his ultimate breeder status. He's always got the 4 Dark Devas as destruction with him, which I always loved. And the 4 Dark Devas actually being in his execution, like, I could probably talk about that execution for a while. It's just really amazing. You know, especially, like, I was just so, I don't know if appalled is the right word, but like when he died and went to heaven with his 4 Dark Devas, like, it was so, it was such a moment, because he was somebody who was always talking about, I am the Dark Lord, and oh, hell this and hell that, and then he went to heaven because he's just a great guy. And I don't know, I just love him. Absolutely amazing design, one of the best in the series. Anyway, let's move on to anime again. I think, let's see, there's one, two, three, four. Oh, there's a good bit left. I thought we were running out of anime characters, but no, we're okay. Mudokata, he is another character that I am just kind of partial to, but he is very cool. He's just kind of a man that runs around with a katana and is good at using that katana, and it's just pretty cool. V3. Since I brought Maki up, let's use her. Old Maki roll. I'm gonna put her right with Kaito, because that is where she belongs. Um, like I talked about with Kaito, the relationship that she and him have together, and with Shuichi, is just so precious and so well written. It's really just like the best part of V3 in terms of characters, if I had to say. Finding out that she's like the ultimate assassin is just another way that V3 subverts your expectations. Even though before that she was kind of, you could kind of tell there was something up with her. But I think she is a very, very well written character. Her, if I'm thinking about like canonical love pairings in the Danganronpa series, the only ones I can think of off the top of my head is Kaito and Maki, and then Makoto and Kyoko. Other than that, I don't think there's any other canonical things. And the way that they integrate that into Maki's character development is really good. Seeing her and Shuichi both cry during Kaito's execution was so, so sad for me. And it really was just an amazing moment. I have been neglecting Ultra Despair Girls, so let's get some of them out of the way. Let's start with the big one, Kamaru Naegi. I like her, but I can't say I like her as much as the people in the A tier. There's honestly not really much I have to say about her. I kind of like her like I like Hajime in the way that they're just ordinary. I think, if I remember right, that's something she talks about a lot when she's like crying in Ultra Despair Girls. But I definitely like her. She's a lot more than just Makoto's sister, which is, I think, what the initial impression is. You go, oh, well, who's the main character of this game? Oh, it's Makoto's sister. But you find out that she's a lot more than just that. I don't remember any of, like, the kids' names other than Monica. But I do remember what they went through, and I can say confidently... Oh, no, I remember Nagisa as well. Nagisa is cool. I'm gonna speed through this one. This girl really just made me sad. Like, her whole background and thing was just awful, terrible. Her, like, the bad things happening to her in her life just made me sad. Didn't really like this kid. Where's the other kid? This kid didn't really like. Monica, hate you. Hate you just as much as Junko, so you will go right next to her, right where you would want to be. That gets those kids out of the way. I might as well do the rest of them while I'm here, just so I don't forget. Chihiro's dad, he was Chihiro's dad. Hagakure's mom, she was Hagakure's mom. This guy, I think his name was, uh, t- no. I want to say it was, like, Toa or something, but I honestly can't remember. I thought he was okay at first, and then I realized he might be a pedophile. So, don't like him very much. Let's see, Ultra Despair Girls, Ultra Despair Girls. Ah, Shirokuma and Kurokuma. I felt like Kurokuma didn't really do much. He was just kind of there, like with the Warriors of Hope. Shirokuma was he actually did things, but I was kind of partial to him. I didn't particularly like or dislike him, so I'll put him in C. I think the last person from Ultra Despair Girls is Awie's brother, who dies immediately. So he'll go in D because he was not even a character. I guess Chihiro's dad did as well, but I mean, he was around a little longer, I guess. Alright, so let's go back to V1, where we have Leon Kuwata, the first person to get killed. I kind of wish he wasn't, but I think he was used very well as an introduction to the first trial in the series. You know, as a character, I liked him, and there's like it was him killing Sayaka was like kind of self-defense, but also like kind of not, because he did like force the door down and stab her a bunch. But I mean, for what he was, I liked him. He didn't even like baseball. He just wanted to be a rock star, and I don't know. He's just cool. He's got a good design. V2. Chiaki Nanami going up in SS. I'm sure that's not a surprise to anyone. Chiaki's great, right? She's really well written. She does the kind of gamer stereotype without falling into any of the stereotypes. Like, it's not a main focal point of her character or anything. None of her development comes from gaming. She is Chiaki, and she's well written, and she makes such a big impact on Hajime and like the ending of the story. It was amazing. I could talk about it for a long time, but I won't. I'll move on. Anime. Ruruka. Hate you. I didn't at first. I was okay with her at first. I thought her and her boyfriend were cute, but then she killed him, and it like showed how bad of a friend she was to Seiko, and I could not stand her after that. V3, Kokichi Oma, also SS. Getting a good bit of characters in there, huh? Kokichi, is he kind of plays the same role as Nagito in V2, but despite all their similarities, they still manage to be really different. And I think the main difference between them is that Kokichi was able to have good intentions but mask it, while Nagito, you could argue his intentions were good, but he was crazy. He tried to find the mastermind in one of the craziest ways possible, whereas, well, I suppose Kokichi did as well, but I don't know. You can just see that clear difference between their characters, and I really like Kokichi. He's got a cool design. He's very easy to like, despite him being a little shithead. Alright, P1, Makoto. I really like Makoto. He's great. But I think for everything that he does well, Hinata and Shuichi just do so much better. So I kind of can't put him in the same tier as Hinata, despite the fact that I do really like him. I just like Hajime and Shuichi that much more. So, not much you can do about that one. Mahiru Koizumi. I'm gonna put her next to Hyoko. I talked about how precious I thought the relationship between Hyoko and Mahiru was. It was just really nice seeing them both on screen. Um, Mahiru, I didn't really like her at first because of like the kind of disdain she had for men. I didn't really understand it, but after doing her supports and understanding that, there's a reliable reason and like it at least makes sense where her disdain comes from. And even though she doesn't really like him that much, she's still nice to him sometimes. Like, she doesn't just constantly shit on Hajime. Unlike a certain character, I think I'll put up here next when we get to the V3 characters. But before that, I gotta put an anime character up here. Seiko, since I was talking about Ruruka. I'm gonna put you up here in B. She wasn't really shown off that much, but I did like her. She was shy and kind of cute, and I just felt really bad for her because of what Ruruka did to her. Although that stuff with her, like, turning into a monster was pretty weird, but, I mean, without that, I liked her. Alright. As I was saying, the character who I'm going to put here is Tenko. I don't like Tenko. I don't. I know a lot of people do, and I can kind of see why, but like the very first thing I got from her was you are a degenerate male, and because of my experience with V2, I was like, oh well, maybe she's got a reason. She really doesn't. I don't feel like it's that warranted. She kind of just shits on Shuichi the whole time, other than the partial times where she doesn't. But I mean, Mahiru, if we're talking the nice to bitch ratio, Mahiru is a lot more towards nice, whereas I think Toko would be a lot more towards bitch. Alright, V1 characters again. Mondo. I'm gonna put him right up here with Ishimaru. He's so cool. Like, his relationship with Ishimaru was another thing that I just found to be so incredibly cool. It was like it was so weird seeing them go from like enemies to just best buds in the span of like 12 hours, but it was also like such a breath of refreshing air after, the first kill just happened and you see these guys getting along great, and it was just really nice. Um and it was really sad when he died, which has a lot to do with Ishimaru and how sad he was. But even on his own, I liked Mondo. He definitely wasn't afraid to stick up for, you know, what he wanted. He wanted to get out. He almost got fucking blew up because of Monokuma. B2 character. Alright, I think I alluded to her at the beginning of this, but Mikan Sumiki. SS. One of my favorite characters in the whole franchise, which you'd think I wouldn't put Hyoko so high up if I like Mikan that much, but it's funny how those things work out, huh? I think Mikan, when I first saw her, she was just so cute, and like her shyness and like it kind of like panicked personality. It just made me kind of want to like help her and fix her and just understand what was wrong. And when you do understand what's wrong, it gets really sad, especially when you kind of get the context around her remembering disease from the third trial. When you watch the anime and understand that she was like brainwashed into falling in love with Junko and helping her like do things for the sake of despair. It's just, to me personally, one of the saddest things that happens in the series. And I absolutely love Mikan as a result. She's cute as a button, love her to bits. Let's move on. Anime character, Ruruka's boyfriend. You can go right down there with her. You weren't nearly as much of a piece of shit, but you did nothing. You didn't have a personality. He just. He's nothing. that's as plain as I can put it, is he is nothing. B3 again. Korekio. he was very interesting. I thought his talent was really cool, and up until I found out like his motive for murder, I really liked him. And then there was like that like kind of ambiguous but not so really incestuous thing with his sister, and I was like, you're kind of meh now. So I'll put him in C, but other than that, he's pretty cool. One characters. I'll count Makuro as a one character. Um, I liked her at first, but seeing all the stuff that she did in the anime to help out Junko and like just see like how she's just as fucked up as Junko, I really couldn't put her anywhere above C. Even though when I initially like saw who she was, I kind of thought that she was like scuffed out by Junko, which I mean she was, but regardless, she still did some pretty fucked up things and it wasn't cool. Alright, Nagito. I'm gonna put you in S. I really like Nagito, but I can't say I like him as much as the characters in Double S. But for what Nagito was for the series, you know, he had a really big impact. He was the first character that kind of like he revealed his insanity very early on, and after like you come to understand that, you just accept it. For the rest of the story, he is the insane character who in some ways makes a lot of sense. His luck talent in contrast with Makoto's is really neat, and I think he also has a really cool design. So I think the lowest I could put him is S tier. Anime. Do we have any more from the anime? Yes, we have. I think his name was Mitarai. I didn't like you very much. I felt like you were just kind of there, and whenever he was doing impactful things, it was things that I didn't really agree with, like trying to brainwash everybody to watch the Hope video. So, I think the highest I could put him is D. Miyu Iruma. This is gonna be a bit of a hot take. I don't like her very much. You know, she was funny for what it was. For her, she was either funny or annoying. It really just felt on how. It really just depended on how I was feeling. And I don't think I could put her any higher than C as a result. Like, when she died, I felt close to nothing. I was just like, oh, Miyu is gone. I won't get to hear Kokichi kill her or Cum Dump anymore, oh no. Alright, one characters. Sakura Ogami. I think Sakura's trial, maybe in competition with Chapter 2, is probably the best in Trigger Happy Havoc. I'm gonna put her in A. She was a really well-written character. She just wanted to help everyone there, even though she was like the traitor at first. She cut ties with Junko and Monokuma and decided she wanted to help them and ended up killing herself. And it was really sad. I was really sad that she didn't survive, but realistically, I didn't think she was going to, but it still made me sad when she didn't, you know, because she was just a really well-written character. And that whole thing with her being just this, like, she's cool. She's just absolutely beefcaked up. Nekomaru Nidai, speaking of beefcakes, he was okay. I did, I don't dislike him, but I wasn't particularly in love with him either. So I'll put him in B. I thought that the thing with him becoming Mechamaru was kind of stupid, but I did like Mini Mechamaru. I felt like Mini Mechamaru was not really a turning point, but a good insight to Kazuichi's character, showing that, you know, he cares, and he made Mechamaru to try and help out. So, if anything good came out of Mechamaru, I guess it was that. Anime. This girl was from the anime. She killed Fuyuhiko's sister. Not cool. Rantaro Amami. I have to put him at least next to Kaede, because, like I mentioned earlier, I feel like um, the first trial of V3 wouldn't have been as good as it was if not for Rantaro. It was already great with, Kaede ending up being the killer, which even though you later on find out that she's not. But the way that Rantaro's character worked in conjunction with hers was very interesting. They were both kind of leader like figures. Rantaro really, you know, obviously everyone did, but Rantaro hated the situation that he was in, and he knew he had to do something about it. I wasn't expecting him to be the first to go, and I think Rantaro is the very first one who had like the kind of scary, like very darkly shaded sprite, which I remember seeing that and just thinking, oh, we're making them like this now, because I mean, it's just another thing that V3 does to subvert your expectations. V3 is full of just, you know, things flying around everywhere, different things happening that you just never expect to happen. It's not predictable in the slightest, and that's part of what makes it so great. Sayaka Maizono. Uh, I didn't really like you that much. She she was like okay at first, but you could definitely tell something was up. And I didn't really like how she tried to set up Makoto. I've always questioned whether or not she was like that the whole time though, or only until after she saw her motivation video. And I think that is the difference between moving her up or down a tier. But for now, I'll keep her in C. Peko Pekoyama. I'm gonna put you in A. I would put you with Fuyuhiko, but I don't like you quite as much as the other characters in S. I think that what she does for Fuyuhiko's character arc is amazing, though. She's not an entirely fleshed out character herself, but it does say something about her that she's willing to go to the lengths that she did just to protect Fuyuhiko, and it her character just served to make Fuyuhiko's that much greater. And for that, I think you deserve at least A. I think this is the last anime character that I know of. It's Fuyuhiko's sister. She dies. Oh well. B3. Ryoma. I liked Ryoma. Um, his story was very morbid, and I think how it basically ended with him never finding a reason to live, he just died. It was very sad, and I think it set a precedent for the rest of the game. So I'll put you in B. Ah, Fukawa. Yeah. I didn't like her that much originally, but after playing Ultra Despair Girls, it does kind of help to flesh out her character and, give her a personality trait other than I like Tagami and I'm Genocide Jack. So I'll put her in at least B. Sonya, never mind. I like Sonya. Probably about as much as Celeste. I think I'm gonna move Celeste and Sonya up to A though, because I can't say I like them more than the people in B. Sonya was super cute and funny. She wasn't like this really complex character, but she had her good moments. Like I mentioned before, the love triangle between her, Kazuichi, and Gundam Tanaka was very funny. And, I mean, she's just nice. I liked seeing her on screen. Yeah, no more anime characters. Um, so, Shuichi Saihara. I gotta put him in S. I would love to put him in SS, but Hajime is just my favorite protagonist. Can't put him higher than Hajime. um, I mean, I've talked about him while talking about some other characters, but he's really well written. His whole like transferring him as the protagonist from Kaede was just so well done and insanely memorable, and how he changes as a character because of Kaede's death, and then learns to, you know, kind of he creates this relationship with Kaito and Maki, and then Kaito dies, and he grows even more from it. He's just a really well written character, as well as Hajime and the other characters in the tier that he's in. Uh, Yasuhiro Hagakure. I didn't dislike him. I thought he was funny. He didn't really add much, but he was nice comedic relief, and man has some long hair. Like, or maybe the word is big. I don't know. Teru Hanamura. Same as Yasuhiro Hagakure. He was very good comedic relief. I was kind of sad that he was the first killer. I I thought his motive was very respectable. He just wanted to go back and, you know, see his mother again and become a good chef, and that was really sad to me. And like, he was a pervert, but he wasn't like annoying about it really. It was like a little annoying at first, but then you learn that like it's insinuated that he's bisexual, and you realize he just kind of wants to fuck anything. And it's like, oh, okay, that's just how you are now. So it wasn't particularly annoying to me. Samugi, I hate you. To me, Samugi was just a rip-off Junko, in a sense, who I already hate. It's a bit of a disservice to call her a rip-off Junko, so I don't know if that's necessarily how I feel about her, because I do think she's fleshed out in her own way, but the way that she just kind of rejects her identity and just becomes whatever she wants at the end of E3, I didn't really like, but it is what it is. Um, Monokuma. I think he's the last. Yeah, he's the last character from Trigger Happy Havoc, if you want to say that. He's Monokuma. You know, what else is there to say? I don't like him as much as the characters in Double S, but he's the mascot of the series. He's the poster boy. He's always funny. I like the Monokuma theaters. Even when he's talking about, like, oh, despair this and despair that, I never really hated him. He's just kind of the talking bear that does Junko's bidding. And by that I mean Junko controlling him. Fat Tagami. No, the ultimate imposter. Um, I liked him. I think that was, like, his introduction is very different in V2 because you're like, why is Tagami here? And why does he not know about the killing game? And I think he does well to subvert expectations even beyond his death. So I'll put him in at least B. We're kind of getting down to the nitty gritty, so I'll just. I think all we have left is Monami slash Usami and the Monocubs, which I can throw in the Monocubs there at the end. Usami and Monami, I liked because of her relationship with Chiaki and how it felt like, you know, she really was trying to help everyone the whole time. She was just powerless. And I was a little bit sad for her when she died. I probably would have been more sad for her if Chiaki hadn't died at the same time, because I think all my thoughts were just, oh no, Chiaki's gone. What the fuck? And as for the Monocubs, I I didn't really like any of them other than this blue one, because he was kind of, you know, rock out. And I think that's about it. About 5 characters in Double S. I think that's about right. It's pretty packed, but I think this pretty accurately shows my thoughts on each of the characters. There are some that I might move around if I had to do it again, but I think for now this is fine. So yeah, I've said my piece about all the characters. I love Danganronpa. I can't wait to see what else we're getting for the 10-year anniversary other than the mobile ports. And I would just love to see them do something else with the IP for the 10 year, because there really is no other series like Danganronpa, and I think we all have a special place for it in our hearts. Anyway, that's about it. See ya.